something tangible to work with when it comes to your health and fitness. Again, you don't have time to not be getting results, right? I mean, you don't have time to be trying different things you see on the internet, different fad diets. There's a lot of confusion about why people aren't seeing change, and a lot of those reasons are super obvious to me, but I've been in this industry for 15 years. I understand behavioral change, and what is obvious to me may not be so obvious to you. So I wanted to really make today's live training about that. These things I see all the time. This is where people shoot themselves in the foot. This is where people slip up, go wrong, find themselves stuck time and time again. They spend, 6 months trying to build up enough momentum and intrinsic drive, all to have that, not pay off when they get around to taking action. And I don't want you to go around in another circle to have the same experience. So let me share with you some things that we as trainers, high performance coaches, see on the inside that we may not have shared with you before. This is stuff that is like trainer talk, okay, where we're like, oh my God, and so says this, and so did that, and I got an inquiry who said this, an inquiry who said that, and I just can't figure out why they're not losing weight. I wonder why. These are some of the obvious reasons that are obvious to us, but may not be so obvious to yourself. So I'm going to start with a point which really needs to be talked about. This is a behavior I see all too often. People will tell me about what needs work. And people can be quite self-aware. People can be obviously very, very, very unself-aware, completely oblivious. But people are not the worst at observing where they can do better. People are quite aware of what they're not aware of. So if people don't understand nutrition, they don't understand macros, they don't understand micros, they don't understand supplements, they don't understand how many grams of protein to get a day, people can articulate that they don't know that. And yet, people will still prioritize working on what they're already working on instead of what they're not working on. So I was speaking to a lady yesterday, and she highlighted to me the fact that she felt she needed to eat more protein, and that was her stumbling block. And although she articulated that a number of times, she still thought that she needed to start training with me and focus on exercise and putting together a meal plan, even though protein was her current conundrum. And so what I shared with her was, well, I mean, you've already identified protein as being the lacking macronutrient here. This has already been highlighted as the problem area, so to speak. So what you actually need is a strategy or several strategies that allow you to easily get more protein into your diet on a day-to-day basis. And the thing is, when people know what they should work on and they don't, that is a self-sabotaging behavior. That's just straight up, call it what you want, it is self-sabotage. Now, why a person self-sabotages, there is no shortage of reasons why people self-sabotage. There's so many reasons, different, unique to every single person, every individual, but there's no shortage of reasons. So that I cannot answer, and I don't know this person well enough to articulate that. But what I can tell you is a lot of the times people fall short of reaching their goals and don't see the change that they wish to see, because although they know they need to focus over here, they focus somewhere else. They focus over here instead. Because this is you can't see me on Instagram. This is more familiar. This is more known. This is more fun. And so they work on the fun thing that is already familiar, that they're already doing, that they don't really need to work that much more on. Sure, they'll benefit from working on it, but in the grand scheme of things, they need to work on what they're not working on. And this is just human nature. We avoid discomfort because it's uncomfortable, like straight up. That's just a very simple explanation of why we avoid discomfort. So instead of doing the uncomfortable thing and working on the weakness and working on the thing that needs work, they continue to focus on the thing that they're already doing and think that getting 2% better at that or 10% better at that is going to shift the needle 50%. And that's simply not the case. You need to work on the things you're not working on to get better at them. Like, duh. If you're not working on your nutrition, you need to work on your nutrition. If you're currently working on nutrition but not your fitness, well, then you need to start working on your fitness, and vice versa. But above fitness and nutrition, you actually need to work on your mindset. So this is a part that people don't work on, don't know how to work on, are not taught how to work on, don't prioritize. Let me tell you something. The most self-aware people are the people who get the furthest in life. And that is true when it comes to fitness too. I just had a question which I wanted to touch on. I think I had two questions actually. So I've actually got more questions than I realized. Thank you for the questions. Do I need supplements to lose weight? Good question. No, the answer is no, you do not. You need a caloric deficit to lose weight. So that answers that. How do I lose weight fast? A caloric deficit. Do I suggest you lose weight fast though? No, I don't suggest you lose weight fast, because if you lose weight fast, you usually regain it really quickly too. So that's worth mentioning. Is it true that females have to work more to lose weight than men? That's a really good question. That is a really good question. How do I answer that? No, not necessarily, because at the end of the day, losing weight is still a caloric deficit. So straight up numbers, burn more than you consume. That's how, and be consistent in doing that. That's how over time you end up losing weight. So if you can adhere to a caloric deficit, then you'll see the change. If you can't, then you won't. Now, whether you're a male or a female is kind of irrelevant, because it's your ability to adhere to a caloric deficit. So it's your ability to adhere to those mathematical equations, essentially. So no, you don't, as a female, have to work harder to lose weight versus a male. I'm just trying to think of context that helps to understand that. When it comes to building muscle, however, yes, having more testosterone helps with that. And men by nature should have more testosterone than females. So I guess to answer that in a more robust way, it is helpful to have more testosterone, because building more muscle makes it easy to burn more calories at rest, which means it's easy to elevate your metabolic rate, because you have testosterone, which allows you to build more muscle. And as I mentioned, the more of you as a composition, which is muscle versus fat, then the easier it is to burn more calories. So that is worth understanding. But I've seen women, I can think of 2 women off the top of my head who have lost 10 kilos in 3.5 months, and that's a tremendous result, and that's not a long time. So again, how adherent are you, I think, is the better question to be asking. How adherent can you be? And gender doesn't really come into that. That's more like a personality thing. That's how intrinsically aligned are you with your goals, and what support do you have? I think they're more helpful questions. I hope that helps to answer your question, but good question. Got me thinking. Okay, so where were we? Yes. Work on your weakness. Your strengths will always be your strengths. If you know that there's an area that you need to work on, then work on it. And this is where people don't get progress, because they just stick to what is known, they stick to what is fun, they stick to what is familiar, though they don't do the work, which is what they're not working on. Now, above nutrition and above fitness, what matters is the 6 inches between your ears. Okay, so those who get the furthest are the most self-aware. How mindful are you? How intentional are you with your food choices? How deliberate are you with your time? How aligned are you with your goals? How intrinsically aligned are you with your goals? Do you know what your goals are and why they're important to you? If you are telling me that you want to lose 10 kilos and you don't know why you want to lose 10 kilos, my eyebrows are going to go up. I'm going to be like, well, why? How is that going to change your life? What impact is that going to have on your life? Do you think people are going to like you more because you're 10 kilos lighter? If that's the case, then you probably shouldn't have those people in your life in the first place. Or, hate to break it to you, but no one really gives a shit if you weigh 10 kilos less or 10 kilos more. People shouldn't care that much, right? Like, at the end of the day, we should be decent human beings. I think that's more valuable than anything else. So people who get the furthest have the deepest connection to their goals, the deepest understanding with regards to why they have the goals that they have, what that means to them, how that's going to change their world and their life. Being able to pick up a child 1,000,000 times a day and not have neck stiffness and tightness, that is a huge benefit that you get from building postural strength. and a lot of mums I work with notice those differences once they come on board as a client with myself. If we talk about losing weight, does that mean that your joints are not going to be as achy? Does that mean that you'll be able to keep up with your toddler? Does that mean that you'll be able to run in a half marathon with your child or with your colleagues? Does it make it easier to fly long haul flights when you have great upper back and neck mobility? Does being able to put suitcases in overhead compartments make long haul flights easier, or just flights in general for that matter? Does that make your life easier? What is the impact of achieving your goals is something we need to ascertain in order to be effective in getting there, but also staying there. So as I've touched on before, it's not hard to lose weight. What is harder is keeping the weight off once you've lost it. And how many people do you know have lost 5, 10, 15, 20 plus kilograms and kept it off? Not many people. I can say that I have. I actually have. If you've seen my Instagram feed, my social media before, you will have seen I have lost over 15 kilograms. I have more than half my body fat percentage. So when I started this chapter of my health and fitness journey, I was closer to 30% body fat. I am now closer to 14, and it was over 70 kilograms. Now I hover around 59, 60. And that's year round, by the way. That's not because I'm dieting for a competition. It's not because I'm looking to compete. It's not because I'm going to, I don't know, do a marathon. You know I hate running, so there's no particular reason for me to be this way other than this is just my lifestyle. This is a byproduct of my lifestyle. This is the byproduct of my psyche, me taking care of myself, me nourishing myself. This is what my lifestyle allows me to do. This is what feels good for me. This is a good routine for me, and it works. And that may look different in a year. It may look different in 5, 10, 20 years. That's cool. I expect it to change because life changes. But at the end of the day, this is a byproduct of how I live. And that's another place where people slip up. So when people go to create change, a lot of people try and force the behavioral changes instead of changing the 6 inches between their ears. So a lot of people just wake up and be like, okay, I'm going to start running. And first of all, if you don't like running, please ask yourself why. Like, why running? Why? There are funner ways to die, okay? Like, I don't know, I think a shark attack would be more fun. I think, jumping off the side of a building, going paragliding or something, and having a freak accident. I think at least you got to see like a nice view. But anyway, I digress. So when people go to create change, they often force behaviors instead of beliefs. And this is really, 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 really important, because if we think about it, your behaviors are a byproduct of your belief system. So unless your belief system changes, actually nothing changes long term. If you want to build healthier habits, you need to look at your behaviors, because habits are just repeated behaviors. Now, if we look at your behaviors, and to understand your behaviors, we need to understand what they represent. So a person who chooses to nourish themselves with, quote unquote healthy foods, a person who prioritizes their sleep, a person who makes time for fitness, even in big days, they value being healthy. They have a very clear definition of what healthy means to them, and they can articulate that on like the next level. So when we go to create change, we do ourselves no service by trying to just suddenly start doing marathons, suddenly start running, suddenly start doing super stressful, high intensity boot camps at 5, 6 o'clock in the morning. Instead, understand, what beliefs do I have about health and fitness and myself that are keeping me where I am now? And how would the healthier version of me think? Chances are the healthier version of you thinks very differently. They think very differently about food. They think very differently about sleep. They think very differently about nutrition. They think very differently about exercise. They think in a different way. That is worth underpinning, unpacking, rewording, shifting, shaping, evolving. That is going to take you a lot further in life than simply forcing yourself to do things that you don't really like in the first place. So again, long-term change comes back to your ability to create different belief systems. To shape and evolve your current belief system will be the unlock to living a healthier life long term. A lot of people don't get that. Another reason why people don't lose weight, don't lose fat, don't get results, don't keep results is they get shiny object syndrome. Again, going back to they do what they think is fun. When what they're doing suddenly stops being fun, then they look to a new solution. But a solution is not a solution if you don't see it through to the point of it actually solving your problem. Now, don't get me wrong, some solutions are not actual solutions. And there's a lot of that in the health and fitness market. There's a lot of that in the health and fitness industry. And it's a real shame because it's an industry that should help people. It's an industry that should support. It's an industry that should support people. It should be an industry that gives back to people in the sense that it should empower people to become the better, healthier, happier versions of themselves. And currently what it does is it confuses people and blames people for being the way that they are. I really dislike that part of this industry. So with that said, please bear in mind some solutions are not solutions. However, if you never actually see a solution through to the point of it solving a problem, then you could have shiny object syndrome. And that is a very common, it's just very common, right? We will pursue instant gratification over delayed gratification. We are so quick to want things now. We want results now. We don't have the patience to see things through. We get food delivered to our doors, to our workplaces, to our homes. Everything is at our fingertips. There's never a screen more than an arm's length away. In fact, I have 3 in front of me. I have my MacBook, I have my iPad, and I have my phone all in front of me. So I have the world at my fingertips. But when it comes to health and fitness, you can't just order a new body. You can't order a new midsection. You can't order a different perspective on life. That is work that has to be done on the inside. So shiny object syndrome. This is where people get themselves stuck. They pursue a solution until it stops feeling fun, until it starts to get monotonous. And that's when they are this close to seeing change, this close to seeing progress, this close to seeing the drop on the scales. And they go, boop, not fun anymore. I'm going to look for something new. Or they lose motivation because they think they're failing. They're not seeing the change they want to see because they think that they should eat one salad and lose 12 kilos. And we all know that doesn't actually happen. And so then they have to wait another 6 to 24 months before their motivation spikes and they try something else. So solutions only work if you see them through. Delayed gratification is critically important. I'm very quick to remind people that if you live to be 100 years of age, 1 year is 1% of your life. And people don't even want to stick to something for 1 year to see it through, to see the change, to see the benefit, to feel different in their own skin. And then they wonder why they get absolutely nowhere. Delayed gratification is critical. And it's incredibly important when you create change too, that we look at what is changing and give ourselves credit for that. But we can't do that if we don't measure things. This is why having the right metrics is super important. So I'll give you an example. A lady I work with, I recently updated her measurements and she had some great results. Her body fat percentage came down. It came down a lot in a very short space of time. Still a healthy amount, I should add. Still a healthy amount. And she actually went up on the scales because she's put on muscle. Now, if you aren't tracking the right things, you will be none the wiser. You can very easily become discouraged, attributing that increase to fat, and then deciding it's not working, deciding to quit, and getting even further away from seeing the results that you want. Having a coach who knows how to take progress photos, who knows how to take your body fat percentage, who knows how to not just look at the number on the scales, but make sense of that in a greater context, such as looking at your body fat percentage, in addition to tape measurements, girth measurements, that makes a huge difference. So this particular client has consistently been increasing their protein intake. Their body is finally getting enough protein to build some damn muscle, which is super exciting. They're starting to see a difference in their body fat percentage, which has come down a nice amount since they started. Every single day, they're reaching their protein target. Not one day have they not done that. Every single day. And it's showing 3 centimeters off their waist, 3 centimeters off one leg, 2 centimeters off the other, down 1.6% body fat in only 2 weeks. And that's excellent. The number on the scales has come up, as I said, because they've put on muscle. And that's amazing. They've put on muscle, they've lost fat. If you were doing this by yourself and you only looked at your weight and you saw that it had gone up, you would be very quick to assume that nothing was working and that this was not worth your time. It was not worth your energy. And I wouldn't blame you. But context is everything. So again, another reason why people are not seeing results is because sometimes you are seeing results, but you don't know that you're getting results. And if you don't know that you're getting results, then how are you going to feel inclined to continue? That becomes really tricky. This is where having a coach makes all the difference. Someone who can read those measurements, make sense of them, explain to you what is happening, and encourage you to keep going. Because again, we want muscle. And if you put on muscle, that's an excellent thing. So we need to be very wise in understanding these numbers. And if you don't understand them, you need a coach. Okay, straight up. Another reason why people are not seeing change is because they think they just need to do fat burning workouts. They just need to do the super high intensity workouts. They just need to do more cardio. And to be honest, the biggest changes we see come from changes in nutrition. 70 to 80% of the changes we see in body composition are related back to diet. How you eat, what you eat, not exercise. So people who are feeling stuck and they're like, I go to the gym and I work my butt off and I do this class and I go for a run and I train 4 or 5 times a week and I lift weights, da 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 da. Yeah, that's cool and all, but are you getting enough protein? Probably not. Straight up, I don't know any single person who is eating enough protein who is not in the fitness industry who I haven't worked with. That I can safely say. So I'll say that again. I don't know one person outside of the health and fitness industry who is eating enough protein who hasn't worked with me or who hasn't worked with a coach. You can go to the gym all you like, but if you're not building muscle and if you're not eating enough protein to support the building of muscle, you're not going to see change. Straight up, you are not going to see change. And that is keeping people very stuck. Protein I've talked about ad nauseum. If you go to my Instagram, search through, scroll down, you'll see plenty of topics, plenty of trainings, plenty of posts on protein. 1.5 grams per kilogram of what you weigh every single day. If you weigh 60 kilograms, that's 90 grams of actual protein every single day. Not 90 grams of chicken breast. 90 grams of chicken breast is only 30.9 grams of protein, assuming that's cooked weight, skinless chicken breast, okay? So protein is your friend. That is the biggest thing you can do, the biggest area you can focus on if you want to see a change in your body composition. Eat enough protein. You're not. I know you're not, okay? Unless you work with me, you're definitely not eating enough protein. Unless you have a coach, you're definitely not eating enough protein. If you're not in the health and fitness industry, you are absolutely not getting enough protein in your diet. Moving on from there, I wanted to touch on my favorite reason why people are not losing weight. And it's because you're determined to prove to yourself that you're a failure. When we go back to the whole headspace, mindset, argument, and angle, we need to be right about ourselves. Human nature, emotional safety. If we don't know who we are, that puts us in a very emotionally compromised position. We need to know who we are at a very fundamental level in terms of survival, from a psychology standpoint. And if we don't feel like we know who we are, then what do we know? Not much. So When it comes to behavioral change, when it comes to losing weight, losing fat, if being overweight is part of your identity and how you see yourself, you stand no chance of losing weight and keeping it off long term. We will self-sabotage to prove to ourselves that we are overweight and that we'll always be overweight. That is human nature. If you can't lose weight, then you will make damn sure that you definitely do not lose weight ever again. In fact, you'll probably gain a few kilos extra just to prove that point to yourself. Psychology is a critical piece in all of this. When it comes to losing weight, losing fat, building muscle, and keeping those changes long term, you have to be committed to breaking up with yourself. Breaking up with the current version of you so that a newer, healthier version of you can evolve. Not to say that we want to reject ourselves. I'm not suggesting that we should shame ourselves, put ourselves down. Absolutely not the case. You as you are now, you're perfect. You can be a masterpiece and a work in progress at the same time. Though, if how you see you right now in this moment is a way that prohibits you from losing weight and keeping it off, then no one can help you, I'm afraid. So you have to be committed to breaking up with yourself. You have to be determined to break up with the current version of you so that the healthier version of yourself can form. How much of your health and fitness and well-being is tied to your self-identity? Again, if you are determined to always be the biggest person in the room, if you're determined to always be 10 kilos overweight, if you're determined to always be the last person in a running race, guess what? That will always be true. Because you'll make sure it's true. Not because I said it, because you will make sure that it's true. So there are a few reasons why people are not seeing the changes they wish to see. There are a few reasons that we see in the health and fitness industry that are a little bit more obvious to us, but not so much to people outside of the industry. And I wanted to take a moment to highlight that because I feel like you deserve to know that. You deserve to know what we know and be on that inside circle. If you've just joined me, make sure you go back to the start of the video, watch it from the beginning. This is going to go to my Instagram feed. Be sure to like my account, of course, if you want to be notified when I go live again. You will be notified if you're following me, so make sure you do that. And leave me your suggestions on topics to cover next. I always want to talk about what you want to hear about. So do me a favor, help me help you by sharing more about what you want to understand when it comes to all things health, fitness, nutrition, mindset. I'm your girl. I'm Laura Phillips. I'm a high performance coach here in Singapore, working with people online as well. So drop me a line. Let me know how I can help. I hope you enjoyed this live training, and I look forward to seeing you in the next one. Thanks for watching.